Hello friends, this is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming and welcome to the first League Starter video I have for you for the Path of Exile 3.7 Legion League. We're going to go over some reliable builds over the next couple of videos that are great for starting off the league fresh and that are relatively low gear requirement to start with and gain a lot of power as you get the gear to get them going. So if you want to see new Path of Exile content roughly every other day for a majority of Legion League, don't forget to subscribe and let's jump into the guide. The first build we're going to be doing is going to be a Pathfinder using Toxic Rain and Herald of Agony. This has received some buffs due to skill tree placement, a few nice juicy nodes, and while Herald of Agony did get a little bit weaker, it still seems like it'll be extremely strong, and given the added damage from the Toxic Rain in this build, it should still be an incredible league starter. We're going to have Toxic Rain as our main skill, and we are going to use as a 4-link Mirage Archer, Void Manipulation, and then Vicious Projectiles. If we get a 5th link, we are going to add Efficacy, and with a 6th link, we are going to get Empower, and we're going to try to want to get a level 4 Empower if we can. And for the Herald of Agony, we're going to go with Minion Damage, Damage on Full Life. For our 4th link, we're going to add Withering Touch, which can add Wither to the target if it's hit with the Herald of Agony, giving us that extra damage with our damage over time, and it also gives some extra physical damage as Chaos. For our 5th, we're just going to put Faster Attacks. And if we get a 6th link, once again, we are going to use Empower and trying to get a level 4 Empower if possible. So if we are able to get multiple 6 links, those will be our links. As far as the bandits, we kill them all, get 2 passive points. For the tree, we're going to go through the evasion and life into finesse, go up through ballistic mastery. We're going to get things like Revenge of the Hunted, make sure we're filling out life here, up through coordination. We're going to want to get all of the non-chaos damage over time multipliers, so we're going to get Method to Madness, and up through to Growth and Decay, all through the damage over time portion. One of the big additions we have here is Hunter's Gambit, which is a new node, or a new cluster of nodes, which gives damage with bows and damage over time with the bow skills. It also gives poison on hit to attacks, which is great with the Herald of Agony. That'll give us 60% chance to poison with 0 additional benefit with as far as the Herald of Agony goes. And lastly, Hunter's Gambit, which gives more non-ailment chaos damage over time multiplier, a lot of increased damage over time and damage with bows, skill effect duration, and allows poisons you inflict to deal damage 10% faster. We are going to want to make sure that we get phase acrobatics and acrobatics. Survivalist has been changed, so it now only takes 2 points from this side of the tree to get, which is fantastic because it'll give us additional cold resistance, additional maximum cold resistance that is, a bunch of evasion, and even chance to evade now. The Master Fletcher node is going to be very powerful as far as giving us increased damage over time, accuracy, and a lot of just flat damage. All of these nodes are fairly powerful for what they do. And then we have Herbalism, of course. We are going Pathfinder, so getting the flask synergy is going to be important, which is also why we are going to get Druidic Rite. Moving up, we can actually go through and get Fatal Toxins through the poison damage and duration side. That is optional and more of an endgame thing because poison is not going to be a bulk of our damage, but we are going to do a fair amount of poison damage. And then, of course, we're going to want to go up and get Atrophy through Written in Blood, giving us a little bit of extra. Then we're going to travel all the way over, get Alchemist to kind of get all of our flask synergies going, go up through Cruel Preparation, and get Corruption for the extra damage over time and non-ailment chaos damage over time multiplier. So these are all going to be very nice. Now, we aren't going to have minion damage in this build, so the Herald of Agony is going to be supplemental damage, but that is okay. It does do a lot of base damage. Scaling minion damage would help. And you could possibly do something similar from an ascendant if you'd like to, in order to get some minion damage nodes through spiritual command and spiritual aid, but it's not necessary, and you would be stretching the tree pretty far. So as far as what we're going to do for Pathfinder, we are going to go through Nature's Reprisal, and that is going to give us increased area of effect with our pods, which is going to do give us a lot of nice coverage with our rain of, or our toxic rain rather. And then we're going to go through Master Toxicist, which will cause our virulence stacks to decay 50% slower, which is really nice. And one of the interesting things about Nature's Reprisal is that when you kill a poisoned enemy during any flask effect, nearby enemies are poisoned. So it has a poison proliferation, which is actually pretty incredible. And once we start scaling up our poison a little bit as well, that's going to give us a lot of extra clear. Master Toxicist is going to give us a bunch of bonuses as far as physical damage converted to chaos. So we're going to get a bunch of extra chaos damage with our attacks. And the more damage with the poisons is going to be very beneficial, since we're not actually directly scaling poison damage. From there, we're going to get Nature's Adrenaline, which will give us more increased movement speed during flask effects and increased attack speed during flask effects, just for the extra clear speed. And lastly, we're going to get Nature's Boon, because we get the reduced elemental damage taken, flask gaining charges every 3 seconds, and 20% chance for your flask to not consume charges. So we're going to have to rely pretty heavily on our flasks. The important ones are going to be Witchfire Brew. This might be a little bit expensive, but once we get it, we can use that reliably instead of having to manually cast Despair. We also want to use Convocation to make sure that our Herald of Agony is keeping up with us, because in this particular build I decided to go with Queen of the Forest. That is kind of a stretch goal. You don't have to get Queen of the Forest right away, but it is really nice. As you can see currently with the setup I have a plus 177% movement speed, which is very nice for clearing. But in the beginning, we're not gonna be going for that. Other than that, I like Coralito's Signature, which gives a bunch of additional benefits. We do take some chaos damage over time during the flask effect, which means we might want to build up some chaos resistance. But it gives us increased chance to poison, putting us up to 85%, and we'll get 75% increased duration of poisons during the flask effect, and it grants perfect agony as well. So pretty nice. It's a diamond flask. We're not going to be getting crits from it, but other than that, we just want to make sure that we have these aren't the best flasks. We want curse immunity for sure, and we want freeze immunity, but I just threw them on there to see what kind of evasion rating I get. Without the Stibnite Flask, we're looking at still just short of 24,000 evasion rate, which should be very, very nice, along with our dodge and spell dodge. So we shouldn't be taking damage very often. We want to make sure that we have enough life that we don't get one shot. I have 4,600 here, but maybe we want to go more towards 5,000 to 5,500 plus, if possible. I'm using Death's Harp. You can use a lot of better bows in the end game, elder bows, additional arrows type thing with a lot more damage, but this does give an additional arrow, which gives us an additional pod, which is really nice. And that's the reason we're going to be aiming for this for our starter end game bow, because the damage kind of overlaps when the pods explode, and of course it gives us a bigger coverage for our damage over time. So that is very convenient. Other than that, we're just wanting to make sure we get life, resistance, evasion, as much of that as possible. I really like Adziri's Step. It's very attainable. Might be a little bit expensive in the early end game, but honestly, with its high movement speed, life, evasion, and spell dodge, it synergizes really well with what this build wants to do. For the tree, if you decide you do not want to go up to this area because it's too much travel, there are some nice things you can take down here, like you can get Fatal Toxins. We can travel down through the rest of Druidic right here and grab Toxic Strikes, get some life down here as well. So that gives us a little bit of an option to scale our poison harder. We can go with swift venoms as well. So if you want to focus more on poisons and not worry so much about the chaos damage over time multiplier up here, it will give us access to a little bit more life and a little bit more poison synergy, which is really good. So that is the first build of the league, first recommended league starter. It got a lot of benefit. It was already a strong build. Herald of Agony is going to be a little bit less of a powerhouse, but it's still going to be very viable. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be coming back with another league starter later today. This has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I will see you next time. And before I drop off, I just want to get a quick shout out to my patron Ty. Thank you so much for your support. Bye.